could not care less about Texas, me and you. They created this give me country that don't value hard work. For a Texan to survive, all we need are some seeds and dirt. Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Got to save your country, for it's long gone. Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Got to save your country, for it's long gone. We believe in family and we value our community. Gladly lend a helping hand to a neighbor in need. And we don't believe that government should provide for all of society's needs. No, it's the pride of a Texan to give to others voluntarily. Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Gotta save your country, for it's long gone. Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Gotta save your country, for it's long gone. They like our tax dollars and they love our natural resources. They don't want to see us driving trucks, they'd rather see us riding horses. And now they want to ban our guns, you know, especially the ones that look scary. But may I remind you of the Gonzales Cannon and the Alamo heroes we buried. Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Got to save our country, for it's long gone. Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Got to save our country, for it's long gone. This last verse is straight from the Texas Constitution, Article 1, Section 1 and 2. Look it up. Texas is an independent state, yet presently we suffer. We no longer possess the right to locally self-govern. And now it's time as a people in which all political power is inherent. And in such manner we find expedient, we reform or abolish our government. I said, Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Got to save your country, for it's long gone. Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Got to save your country, for it's long gone.
Good evening, everyone. Wow. It's been a hot minute since we've been together on a late night coffee talk. So look, I'm excited. It's very good to be with all of you guys again. Many of you I probably have seen on the road, but in this setting, it's been a little bit. So we're gonna have some fun tonight. I think we've had I'm not going to launch into the intro yet, but I'm just going to banter with you guys a little bit. We've obviously had a lot of people drop emails, messages on social media wanting to know when we were going to do this again. You've got questions, you want to hang out with other TEXIT supporters, you just want to hear what is going to come out of my mouth next. Well, here it is. And I've got a lot of questions that apparently you guys want answered. So good thing we started at 8, right? I figure if we do it at 8, then we have a little bit more time if we need to go over. If you guys particularly have any, a lot of questions. I mean, obviously with the TEXIT petition campaign, there's going to be plenty, but I figured we needed a little bit of buffer. So here we are, 8:00 right now on Wednesday, and it is definitely time for late night coffee talk. I got my cup. Hey, and it matches the screen behind me. That's kind of cool. Anyway, for those of you that are just joining us for the first time, I want to welcome you to Late Night Coffee Talk, even though it doesn't seem really late night at 8:00. My name is Daniel Miller, president of the Texas Nationalist Movement, and this is that time that I get to take out of my schedule and connect with you, right? Where we can, in this setting, you guys can throw questions at me. I can hopefully give you answers real time. And of course, if you avail yourself of any of the comments or chat on any of the channels that we are streaming on right now, I'm sure that if I cannot get to your question, there are going to be plenty of people ready to point you toward the answer. So good news for those of you that will not get your questions answered tonight about Social Security or currency or any of the things that we get asked about all the time, which you can find the answers to at texitnow.org or drop them in the chat. Somebody will be more than happy to get you squared away on that. We're going to be able to tackle some of the questions tonight that are a little more recent, right? We've got we got a lot. There's a lot to unpack since we were together last, and I'm excited to be able to do that with you tonight. So if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. That way you can be sure to get notified anytime we go live or when we post a new video. Same thing on Facebook. If you're watching this live stream on Facebook, whatever page you're on, well, first off, be sure to like the post, be sure to share it, be sure to comment on it. But whatever page it's on, be sure you go over there and you follow the page. That definitely helps out. And for those of you over there on Twitter, I'm glad to say we've been live streaming on Twitter for quite some time. It's not a brand new thing to us. So want to thank you guys for over there on Twitter that have just been consistently watching these live streams over there. We've got, and let me just go ahead and say this as well. I'm going to do this on my phone because I feel like it. Guys, the TNM social app, right? Boom shakalaka, right? Make sure you download the TNM app. Go to either the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Go look for TNM.me. Be sure to download the TNM app and make sure you turn your push notifications on too. It's super important to do that. As we're going to talk about, one of the questions tonight is about the news that broke since we were last together about CallHub, one of the companies that we have used to communicate with many of our supporters, pulling the plug on us. They're too woke for us. They said our values don't align. Won't go into all of that tonight. You can go read the news article on the TNM site. But, it's important. One of the reasons that we launched the TNM mobile app is so that we can get around the gatekeepers, right? So we can do things like this, like we're doing right now, without danger of someone that is facilitating this communication getting their undies in a bundle and saying, oh, no, sorry, you can't talk to people about TEXIT anymore. And don't think it can't happen, right? I mean, we literally are in a lawsuit with Facebook right now over this very thing, right? We had to threaten one against TikTok. The CallHub issue that I mentioned a moment ago, the fact that many of you report that you aren't getting emails from us, even though we're sending them, right? So it's more important than ever that you download the TNM app and get that thing installed and get the push notifications. Look, it's how we're going to be able to communicate if they decide that TEXIT is just too dangerous and too radical for them, right? So, it's gonna be one of those tonight. I think I'm gonna be soapboxing a lot. So hope you guys don't mind. I'm pent up a little bit. It's just the way that it is, and pardon me if I keep looking over here, but I'm looking at your chats and your questions that are coming in because the screen that's right ahead of me is really small. It just is. Okay. All right. So look, let's tear into it. So obviously we're going to talk about TEXIT petition. I'm going to talk about that here in a minute. I do want to give you guys a couple of updates on some things, and some of them probably directly or indirectly relate to some of the questions that we're getting. Hang on. Yeah, I'm looking. Sorry, guys. Some of the questions that you guys have emailed in. I know that there are a few that we're going to address these, but look, let's take the first one. Many of you wrote in asking about any updates on the Jeff Leach lawsuit. So those of you who do not know or do not remember, there was a lawsuit that was filed against State Representative Jeff Leach, essentially accusing him of defamation per se, because he decided to go on a social media tirade and accuse TEXIT supporters of being guilty of treason and sedition. So many of you have asked if there are any updates, and indeed there are updates. We've got in that particular case. There is a hearing that is set for the beginning of next month. I think the first or second week. I don't know the specific date, but they responded. Leach and his attorneys responded. They essentially, really, there's an interesting takeaway. I'll get there here in a minute, but they're essentially saying, look, this is not defamation. In fact, it's not defamation based on some what I would refer to as technicalities. I don't know that the attorney would refer to it as that, but essentially what they're saying is that they not only want the suit dismissed, they want the plaintiff to pay attorney's fees, and they want the judge to fine the plaintiff, aka sanctions, because they're essentially saying it's a frivolous lawsuit. And we know that it's not. The fact that there are suits like this that exist and have existed. It's interesting to me, though, that Leach is essentially saying that he should not be held to the same standard as everyone else, that he should just be able to say what he wants to, accuse anyone of anything. I mean, this lawsuit is going to be quite interesting on a lot of different fronts. I mean, there's some kind of interesting legal things that are going on in relation to this case, but it really, I think, hinges on this one thing. And win or lose on this lawsuit, I think it's important that the truth of this matter come out, and that there is definitely a standard set when it comes to these accusations of treason and sedition. I mean, treason carries the death penalty. Sedition is, decades in prison kind of time, right? So, they make some assertions that this is kind of like the abortion is murder thing, when people would go around and protest that, and the courts found that no one literally thought that was murder. But contrary to that situation, there are people out there that, because of what Jeff Leach said, literally believe that advocating for Texas to become a self-governing independent nation by peaceful political process is treason and sedition. And as such, they believe that the plaintiff and anyone that Leach accused of this are in fact guilty of those crimes. So there definitely is something here that needs to be addressed. But the one takeaway that I have, and I'm not going to dwell on this too much tonight, because I think we're going to do something with Paul Davis, the attorney, a little bit further down the road, talking about this issue. But I will tell you that already from this suit, Leach's response is very clear, in that he is asserting that he does not believe that it is in fact a crime, that it is not treason as a crime or sedition as a crime. He's essentially asserting that he's, just using hyperbolic language. And so right there is I think probably one of the most important things that we can take away from this, is that even one of the most vocal opponents of giving Texans a vote on independence in our state government just essentially admitted in a court filing that he doesn't believe that it's treason. He's just saying, "Oh, I just said that he doesn't believe it's a crime." Now, I want you to understand, though, that when Jeff Leach made this assertion, he knew the moment that it left his fingers on Twitter or whatever social media he posted on, he knew, in fact, that it was not treason and was not sedition. And I say that because Jeff Leach is an attorney. He went to law school. Okay. And so, as such, he should be probably pretty versed in the law. I mean, the guy had to take, I think, the law school he went to, I think he had to take 2 full semesters of constitutional law. But more than that, remember, he is a state representative, which means that every session he goes in, he puts his hand on a Bible or a comic book or whatever he finds relevant to his beliefs. He jams his hand in the air and he swears an oath to uphold the laws, the Constitution, and laws of the United States and of this state. So, how in the world could he claim ignorance of that fact, that what we're doing is not treason, that what we're doing is not sedition, when he has sworn every 2 years to uphold those very same laws? So it's going to be interesting to see how this thing plays out. I think for many of you out there, I think the clear takeaway here is that Jeff Leach admitted that advocating for Texas is not actually treason and not actually sedition. And that, my friends, in and of itself is a big admission. I mean, it's kind of a big deal when they have to go back and say, "Oh, look, I was just blowing off some steam. I know better," right? So, other than the brief that his attorneys wrote, that, I mean, it sounded like an Oliver Stone screenplay. The fact of the matter is that it is progressing along. The suit is, and look, we'll have a resolution to this thing perhaps at the beginning of next month. But look, it's becoming abundantly clear that there is going to be, when it comes to this issue, there's going to be litigation. There's going to be lawsuits. Whether it's this issue, the issue with Facebook, or the fact that we're running the petition campaign right now, and we're very likely going to have to, I would hope not, but the possibility exists that we may have to litigate on that as well, right? So, look, now is as good a time as any. This is as good a time as any. Man, I'm tongue tied. I need more caffeine. To remind everyone that on this particular front, we have launched a specific webpage to help raise contributions for this. It's defendtexit.com. That money actually never comes to the TNM. It goes straight into the attorney's trust account. And so I would encourage you guys, if things get litigious, then it could be costly. These guys, if they want to engage in lawfare and come after us, much like Meta, aka the parent company of Facebook, they're liable to try to bury us in attorney's fees, basically just kind of outspend us so that they could win. So super important that you head over there to defendtexit.com as quickly as you can and give what you can. And let's we got to keep all the fronts open in the fight for Texas, right? All political powers inherent in the people, and so they do everything they can to stop the people's voice from being heard. And whether they do that politically just by being a bunch of knuckleheads, right, or they decide that they want to go and fight this thing out in court and just bury us in attorney's fees and things of that nature, we have to be prepared to fight the fight for Texas on every single front possible. So huge news, I think, coming. I look at, and I know some of you sending questions asking about the Facebook lawsuit. everything there is still rocking along. There is I spoke with Paul about this the other day, Paul Davis, our attorney, and Paul suggested that we might get an order. One of two things is going to happen. Either one, we're going to get a ruling from the federal judge, specifically about whether or not it's going to get kicked over to California like Facebook wants it to be, or stays in his court, or gets remanded back to state court. And then the other big thing is with the Supreme Court handing down decisions in cases, like they're coming out of a Pez dispenser right now. There is an expectation that any day now we could get a decision in the net choice case, which is a case that actually is not directly related to what we're doing, but does have something to do with the law that we are utilizing, the Texas law, to sue Meta under. So I fully expect, probably next week or two, we'll get some movement on that case one way or the other, and I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I made no bones about it with Meta's attorneys that day that they seemed quite excited to want to depose me over this lawsuit, and I was pretty giddy about it. It's like, are you really sure that's what you want to do? Because I'm looking forward to it. I'm quite excited about it. So great news there. So we'll keep everyone posted. All right. So we're going to get down to let's get down to some of your questions. We got plenty to go on tonight. Okay, yeah, here's a good one. So let me start taking TEXIT petition questions. Okay, so for those of you who are unaware and have not heard us trumpeting this from the highest peaks, we have relaunched the TEXIT petition campaign. You can see everything. Go to texitpetition.com and you'll get taken there. For those of you who don't know what's happening, this is what's going down. So there is a little known provision in the Texas election code that allows voters by petition to place a question on a party's primary ballot. Okay. So let me do this again. For those of you that are not quite catching it, I want you to listen really closely because it's convoluted. It can seem so, but it's really not. The Texas election code, aka the law of the land, has a very narrow exception to its general sort of prohibition against statewide initiative. Okay. For those of you who don't know what that means in many other states, you can, by petition, place a question on a ballot for people to answer. And then that kicks off a process where that could eventually become law, or in some instances does become law. Okay. And you hear things about this in other states all the time. Texas is not one of those states. We do not have statewide initiative. If that was the only thing standing between us and the final vote on TEXIT, it would have been done a long time ago. Okay. Now, that said, in the law of the land, in the Texas election code, there is a very narrow exception, very narrow. And what it does is it allows us, citizens, to start a petition that will place a question on a political party's primary ballot. Okay. So for those of you who don't know what the primary ballot is, that is the one in March. That is the one where the parties go to the polls and they determine who their candidates are going to be to move on to the general election. Okay. So that being said, there are only two parties in Texas, only two, that nominate their candidates by primary. That is the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. Okay. So in 172.088, it essentially says that if we get enough petition signatures in the manner prescribed by the law, that we can place a question on that ballot for that particular party. Okay. So what does this mean for us? That means that if we collect enough petition signatures on a Republican petition and we collect enough petition signatures on a Democrat petition, that we could, in fact, have a de facto statewide vote on Texas reasserting its status as an independent nation. Okay. So what does that mean for you? Well, number one, that means whether you vote in the primaries or not, as long as you are willing to commit to one of those primaries, okay, doesn't mean you're going to have to vote in it. It just means that you won't be able to participate in the process of any other party during the primaries or the conventions. Right? You can vote for whoever you want to in the general election, but that means we get enough signatures. You go and you sign and you help us go get signatures, whether on paper or online. Then that means that you will be able to go to the polls in March and answer the question, look down at a ballot, and it will say, should the state of Texas reassert its status as an independent nation? And you will vote for or against. That's what it ultimately means for us. And it means that we have what is essentially the first step in a process that eventually leads to a true binding statewide vote on Texas independence. It builds the political pressure necessary. Now, that's phenomenal, right? I mean, to think about what sort of news, what sort of political groundswell there will be if that goes on the ballot. Now, here's the thing. If you previously signed a petition, does not count. Every petition campaign by law is its own thing because you only have 180 days to collect the signatures. At day 181, signatures from day one drop off, and day 182, two back. I mean, that's how it works. It has to be collected in a 180-day window. And in our instance, it has to be collected and turned in before the end of the filing window for the next election. So what does that mean? That means by December 1st or thereabouts, we need to have about 100,000 signatures on the Republican petition and about 55, 56, 57,000 for the Democrat. And boom, it's done. And before I get the hate mail saying, why are we doing a Democrat one? Well, you'd be surprised at how many Democrats are signing that petition. And I got to tell you what, it's not in the numbers that even I expected. Because just to be frank with you, there seemed to be a chunk of those that either kind of closeted TEXIT supporters in the Democrat Party or people who want to go prove you wrong, that want to go out there and essentially put this on the ballot to say you don't exist. Right. So it needs to be on both ballots. I would be aghast if it wound up on one and not the other. It really needs to be on both. We want to have as close to a statewide question as we possibly can. Okay. So what I just said, that entire spiel, that entire explanation, if you still have questions about the TEXIT petition, I want you to drop them in the comments or in the chat right now. Or be sure to reach out to us via email when this is all over with. Look, the fact is you got to be registered to vote. That's just the way the law reads. So if you're registered to vote and you're willing to do this, rock and roll. Some people out there have come under the impression that we came up with the wording on this petition about ineligible to participate in the primary of another part. That is law. We didn't come up with this. Any of you people out there that are sending in, lazy emails saying that, oh, you guys made this too difficult. No, we didn't. That's the law. This is a legal petition. This is not some, crappy express your support on the White House petition. This is the real deal, people. This is the real thing. This is the thing that you sign it and you help us get over the hump. Boom, it goes on a ballot. This is the real thing. This is not a drill. This is not a drill. This is the real thing. It is a legal petition. And while I wish the wording was not convoluted, unfortunately, welcome to government, right? But so what? I mean, I'm not asking you to get in a crumbling adobe church for 13 days against, 100, against thousands of members of the Mexican army. I'm asking you to either go online and fill in some information and hit a button and follow the instructions, or go get with one of our people and put your signature and information on a piece of paper, or even better yet, direct other people to do that. Because that brings me to the thing, one of the emails that I got in, and look, I'm just going to read it verbatim. because I'd rather not. I'd rather not paraphrase. I'll just be honest with you. Because we heard this the last time, and I hear it all the time. And guys, sometimes just work it through. Just work it through. Okay. With as many members as we have, why is it hard to get 100,000 signatures? If only I could read some of the other emails that have come in from folks that are talking about the difficulties, or the fact that all the things that I said at the very beginning of this about, having the plug pulled on one of the mechanisms that we communicate with people via text message, or the fact that email service providers are spiking our emails and dumping them in spam folders, right? Or how about people that just misspelled their email address and we can't communicate with them, and then they get angry at us because they don't get the emails, right? Or the fact that nobody answers the telephone anymore, or the fact that you don't show up to meetings, or the fact that you somehow it's a bridge too far to ask you to read an instruction to get to a thing, right? It's not easy. And anyone who thinks that this is a matter of just pushing a button and suddenly, all of our people are suddenly instantly aware of everything, and then they go do it immediately, just isn't living in reality. This is a grind. Even with the addition, look, we added an electronic version of this petition, something we didn't have last time. This thing is fully compliant with Texas election code. It contains every element required to be legal, right? We designed this so that because we thought it would be much easier for everyone, and it has been. Look, thousands of people are already signing the petition online. They're already doing it, right? So there's not an issue with that. But it's not easy. It's a grind, right? We tried to spell out all the instructions. We try to explain everything. We try to do all that, but it's a grind. So, if you want us to be able to reach everyone, then you'll help us do that. That's just the bottom line. When email service providers and people like that, these people that pull the plug that don't want us to communicate with one another. I practically begged you at the very beginning to download the mobile app so we could communicate with you. It has been the number one issue that we have had since the formation of the TNM in 2005 is maintaining the ability to communicate with our supporters. It's hard. It makes it the people that are standing between us and you are the ones making it difficult, right? So you got to help. You got to go grab the links. You got to go share them. All of that stuff is on the website. You've got to go do that. If you wait and expect everyone else to do it, then you're gonna be very disappointed. That's just the bottom line. You're going to be very disappointed. And look, I've got a Sam Houston quote that I want. I wasn't gonna read this, but I'm pulling it up, and I'm gonna tell you this is a Sam Houston quote, and I think it applies when we start getting these kind of emails in from people. Oh, it should be easy. Okay. This is what Sam Houston said. He said, there would be no difficulty in securing the rights of the people and the liberties of Texas if men would march to their duty and not fly like recreants from danger. Texas must be defended and liberty maintained. If you want independence, it's going to take work. You're gonna have to do some things, and we're not asking a lot. We're asking you to do some things, share some links. Hey, go take a course that is 100% online to become a certified petition circulator. And if computers are not your deal, right? If you were just one step this side of riding to work in a horse and buggy, I get it. Cool, not a problem. I literally know people that didn't get a smartphone until their service provider forced them to, and they still hate it, right? I get it. Cool. Go take a course, become a certified petition circulator, and then circulate the paper. and will be trained on how to collect the signatures, and then go do it. And don't just sign up and not do it. Sign up and then do it. Go say, look, I'll get 10, I'll get 25, I'll go get 100. I mean, it's not as difficult as many folks would have it worked up in their mind if each individual pulls their weight. If you're waiting on us, we're doing everything we can. And part of everything we can means everything you can. And if you can't, and every other tactic that we use to communicate with our people and cajole and basically, tell them, hey, look, this is what you got to get done. If it's just up to that, it's going to be really hard to hit that number. It's going to be really hard to hit that goal, but it's going to take every one of us doing it. If you want to vote on it, don't just sign the petition. Help us get petition signatures. It's the only way that this is going to work. It is important for every single one of us to get in the fight. I mean, the news isn't getting any better, right? And so we know that a record number of people still want Texas to become a free, independent, self-governing nation. They, at a minimum, want to vote on the thing, but it's not enough to want it. You got to work for it, and then you get it, because it's not going to be handed to you. Independence is not going to be delivered down your chimney by Santa Claus. You're not going to lift up your pillow and find that the Independence Fairy dropped it in your lap. It's just not the way that it works. If you want it, you got to work for it. Man, maybe I didn't need that coffee. Oh yeah, I needed it. I needed it really bad. Okay. All right. So all of that said, I'm going to check. And I definitely have some questions here. So wow. All right. Here is one question that's about the petition, because guys, I'm trying to focus on petition questions tonight. Here's one for Terry, who has oddly a picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger in his bodybuilding days as his profile. But Terry says this: why is the petition wording different from Biederman's original wording? Well, number one, it was not Biederman's original wording. It was actually the bill that you're thinking about, which is House Bill 1359 that Kyle Biederman filed, was based off of a draft initially submitted, that the wording of which is actually in the TEXIT book and has been on our website for years, okay, in the drafts of the Texas Independence Referendum Act. And so that wording that was in 1359 was different than the wording in the draft. Now, the wording that we have on the draft was created after a massive examination of controversies related to the wording of an independence question on an independence referendum ballot. And so, dealing with legal experts and scholars and academic works and looking at the history of it, the wording that we have is the best wording. Should the state of Texas reassert its status as an independent nation? That entire discussion about how that came about would take probably about an hour and a half, which we're not going to do tonight. But just understand that that's where it came from. It was not haphazardly pulled as, Scrabble, like a Scrabble draw. That wording was created specifically because it would be the best way to ask the question without it getting flunked on the ballot language. So why is it different than what was in Biederman's bill? It's quite simple. Bills, when they are initially filed, before they are filed, they go to the Ledge Council, the Legislative Council, which then does all their changes in wording and construction and all of that to get things the way that they check. And so essentially what happened was Biederman sent the draft to Ledge Council. Ledge Council marked it up, and one of the things that they kept coming back with was this change to the ballot, to the wording on the ballot. We were running out of time during that session to get it filed and have a good chance of getting it through committee. And so the decision was ultimately made at the tail end of January, that particular January, to look, let's, instead of going to Ledge Council again, because they won't get to it because they're already slow, we will file it and we will change it with a committee substitute when it gets to the committee. which, as we know, did not happen. So that's why when the bill was filed this session, the wording was corrected to the same question that we are asking on the primary ballot. Should the state of Texas reassert its status as an independent nation? Thank you, sir, for that question. I'm looking for petition questions, so bear with me, guys. I have to go check here, and let's see what we got. Okay, that's a TEXIT vote question, not about. I'm guys, pardon me. I'm scanning for petition questions. Let me rapid fire some of these non-petition questions. Candace wants to know, will Texas have its own currency? Yes. Look around at any nation on the planet. Vast majority have their own currency. Even many have adopted a different country's currency, a different nation state's currency, in either an official or unofficial currency union. So, or formal or informal, excuse me. So yes, Texas will have one. Okay. Karsten wants to know, will you be running for lieutenant governor again this cycle? Well, lieutenant governor is not on the ballot this cycle. And the answer to your question for the next cycle is probably not. But I have learned to never say never. When the people want something, they get it, right? KM, this is long. I'm not reading it all. I would like to know your historical knowledge on the foundation of the United States. No, you wouldn't. It's not a quiz. It's not a show to quiz the host. This is me having coffee and answering questions, not peacock and feathers and my knowledge about history. Suffice it to say that I've been at what I'm doing for independence since 1996. No need to quiz or test me. Stacy wants to know, is it official that the TNM has been dropped by Call Hub and what company has replaced them? The answer is yes. They have not officially switched the account off yet, but I am told that it's coming. So what company has replaced them? I don't know yet. I know that we are trying out 2 or 3 different ones, and hopefully they are not part of the get woke crowd that will pull the plug on us simply for advocating for the right of the people to vote on independence. So, as soon as for all intents and purposes, we have completely in anticipation of when they flip the switch off, we've already decoupled everything that we use over there. So it's gone bye-bye and whatevs, right? Bill wants to know, my concern after we win the referendum vote is that we could be overwhelmed by outside campaign money and voter fraud in the Texas independence vote. Is there anything in place that would counteract this threat? Yes. We are working on the vote, the actual election integrity issue. As a matter of fact, I would encourage you right now, anyone out there who is interested in helping assist with this effort, to go fill out a volunteer form on the TNM site. We're going to need a lot of volunteers for what we're going to have to do in relation to that. Additionally, about being overwhelmed by outside campaign money, that's a given. I used to say that I expect the opposition to spend about $1 billion on their Project Fear campaign when this goes to a vote. I would say now that that's probably going to be about $1.5 billion. I mean, they've got a heck of a hill to climb, given the percentage of support there is for Texas independence already, and inflation. So how do you counteract that? Money. I mean, that's the only way you do it, right? So if we want to counteract their spend, that's what we would do. The only other option is something that the TNM has floated as a legislative proposal for years, and that is that the state of Texas needs to ban campaign contributions from outside of Texas. It needs to happen. And unfortunately, too many of those hogs up there at that trough to want to give any momentum on that. So your best bet is to make sure that the TNM is well supplied to counteract that. As a matter of fact, I would encourage people. I know I've already asked you to make a contribution to defendtexit.com, but if you want to help in these efforts to get and win a referendum and to get candidates and help campaign candidate my God, what's happening to my mouth tonight? If you want to help candidates during the campaign that are pro-Texit candidates, I would say go to tnmpac.org and make a contribution to the PAC. And look, I'll even do you one better. Any of you out there that donate to the PAC over let's say the next 24 hours, here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to throw your name and your referral ID, right? I had to think of the term. I'm going to throw your referral ID into the mix at TEXITpetition.com. And when people go to TEXITpetition.com, it will go through and it grabs them in order, and it will basically send people to the petition page with your referral ID, and you will get credit, right? No guarantee that they're going to sign the petition, but we'll throw you in the rotation. And I'll do you one better. For every dollar that you contribute at tnmpac.org in the next 24 hours, that is the number of times I will add your referral ID into the mix. So there you go. If you don't want to share your link, if you don't want to go out there and get petition signatures, donate to help us do it, and you could still get credit anyway. All right, let's get down to it. See what else we got over here. Okay, this is a good one. This is not a TEXIT petition question, but it says, will the TNM try to be a part of or monitor the post-TEXIT negotiations between the U.S. and Texas? Absolutely. 100%. You see, we're not the TEXIT movement. We're the Texas Nationalist Movement, which means that we want the political, cultural, and economic independence of Texas, right? And so the way that we safeguard that, the role of the organization doesn't cease to exist when we win the TEXIT vote. As a matter of fact, that's when our work gets really started in earnest, because then we have to ensure that Texas achieves independence, and the TEXIT vote does not achieve independence. The TEXIT vote is an expression of political will that kicks off the process that begins Texas on the path toward independence, to being a fully self-governing independent nation state. And so, yeah, the TNM has a role to play after the TEXIT vote, and it's going to be the most important role that we ever play, is to make sure that Texas becomes independent after that vote. We've got, because of the timing, the way that we have set this entire thing up, you have to understand that not only does the TEXIT vote ultimately break the back of the political establishment and flush out the chaff, but it sets us up for the greatest amount of success when it comes to that stage of the post-TEXIT activities, so to speak, right? So some of you, and this reminds me, because I did get a question about this earlier, and I'm not going to bother to look for it, I know, but I did see some chatter about it on social media, so I'm going to go ahead and comment on it. Some people are saying, why sign the petition? Why support TEXIT when we've got all of this nonsense going on in Austin? And I just alluded to that fact, but and I've talked about this in a lot of the speeches and remarks that I've given, but I want to just walk you through what this process looks like. Okay. And I'm going to start with the vote here. Why? And I'm going to hopefully explain to you why this petition is so important. Why is it important that we have this TEXIT vote in March if it's not the ultimate TEXIT vote that we're going to need? And I'm going to make this super simple, and I'm going to make a lot of the people out there that are upset with their representatives and senators and all that other nonsense. I'm gonna give you a path to where you can do something about that, and how TEXIT makes that happen. So I'm going to hit you with a fact first. This is a statistic that's important, from somebody who's done this since 1996. No need to quiz me, but this is very, very important. Here's the stat. Independence referendums, the average voter turnout historically worldwide is 85%. Okay. Now I want you to let that sink in for a second. Average voter turnout for independence referendums is 85%. Now, contrast that with the voter turnout that we have here, whether it's in the primaries or the general election, and understand what that means. Okay. Context. Let me give you some context. If you have an 85% voter turnout on an independence referendum here in Texas, what that means is, given the number of voters that we have, and depending on, a lot of different factors, but if you take the most conservative figure on that, here's what that means. That means TEXIT goes on the ballot. You're going to have somewhere between 8.6 and 9.2 million Texans go to the polls and vote yes for TEXIT. Okay. Now, what's significant about that number is that is more voters for TEXIT than the number of votes cast for every gubernatorial candidate in the last general election. That means that the pro-TEXIT voter becomes the largest voting bloc in Texas history. Okay, so I want you to stick that figure in your mind and understand what sort of power that has if 8.6 to 9.2 million pro-TEXIT Texans are working their way through the electoral system. Keep that in mind, okay? Now, as we get ready to go into this petition campaign, let's say we cross the finish line. We have to remember that the vast majority of elected offices here in Texas are decided by the primaries. In many instances, the only contest for a legislative seat is in the primary. Okay. There may be some token candidate, right, on the other side that's from the other party, but there's no contest. They get squashed because it's decided in the primaries. Okay. So imagine this for a moment. We know, hopefully, let's just say that we go into this coming election with the knowledge that we are securely going to have the TEXIT question on the ballot. Does that mean we'll get an 85% voter turnout? Not necessarily. You got some people that are just not going to vote in a party primary. But would it make the turnout higher? Probably. Would it make it 85%? Not necessarily. But let's just say that it doubles it. Okay. Let's just say that it doubles turnout in the primaries. Okay. Because people just wanted the opportunity to go vote on this issue. Okay. Now imagine that if not only was the question on the ballot, but candidates that were unquestionably in support of that issue on the ballot. Who do you think pro-TEXIT voters are going to vote for? Go along to get along dude with an I beside their name, or the person that has unequivocally, unapologetically, unquestionably supported their right to vote on this issue? So, if you want an opportunity to blow the pipes out right now, then you will do two things. Number one, you will ensure that no matter what happens, this gets on the ballot for the primaries. You will sign the petition. You will get others to sign the petition. You will work yourself to the bone to make sure this gets on the ballot. And number two, you will insist that candidates that represent you publicly come out either in favor of or in opposition to this issue. And if they are in opposition to it, you will find a candidate that will be in favor of it. Now, we're doing everything we can, right? Go to taketexasback.com. Candidate pledge is live. If you're a candidate, go sign it right now, right? But that being said, if you are as upset at your representation as you say you are, then I'm giving you the one shot to fix it. The one shot. Because I'm going to tell you right now, no other issue brings all the boys to the yard like the TEXIT issue. No other issue comes close. Can't even touch it. Can't come within a mile of it, of inciting this many people to go to the polls and vote. So you put it on a ballot, you are guaranteed to flush the system. as long as people have alternatives. Because what good does it do, right, if you don't? So these two things work together. Now, play this out in the scenario moving forward with TEXIT, the way that we have it mapped out. The legislature meets, they pass the Texas Independence Referendum Act. That's May, the tail end of May. So that means starting in June, it goes into effect. That means the next November, so that the November after the legislative session is when you will have the TEXIT vote, the real deal, right? So you get Texas Independence Referendum Act passed through the legislature. That means that November is when the November after is when you have your TEXIT vote. Now, take that 85% that I mentioned a moment ago, 8.6 to 9.2 million pro-Texit Texans going through. Boom, guess what happens like 2-3 weeks right after the TEXIT vote? It's the filing window for candidates. So any remaining stragglers that are in the legislature that stood against your right to be self-governing and independent immediately are going to feel the wrath of 8.6 to 9.2 million Texans. They cannot withstand that onslaught because the people of Texas, when they have their voices heard on this issue, are not going to take excuses. They're not, I mean, the last place you want to be standing, politically speaking, is between the people of Texas and their independence after they voted on their independence. Once they, this becomes the TEXIT train, and the last that you do not want to set up camp on the railroad tracks in front of it. So what I'm telling you is that the TEXIT issue becomes or is the way that you fix this situation. You don't like how you don't like how your legislature performed this session? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Get the question on the primary ballot. Get the petition across the finish line. And now you're going to call out all these pro-TEXIT voters that are going to vote on the question, vote in favor of it, and vote for the candidates that support them on it. And then you go into the next legislative session where there is no question about whether the referendum is going to be filed or not. It's going to be filed because there's a ton of pro-TEXIT candidates there, right? A bunch of brand new legislators that are in favor of you and your right to vote on this issue. And then you get the Texas Independence Referendum Act filed, and it gets across the finish line. It goes to a vote that following November. And now 8.6 to 9.2 million people in Texas say, hey, all of you guys that campaigned against this and stood in our way, et cetera, guess what? Now you've got challengers and you are history because there's so many of us, no one could stand against it. And then boom, it's done. It's over with. Now you don't have to worry about all of these legislators and people in the state government that you're worried about. Oh my God, how are we ever going to be independent if so-and-so is here? Well, you know what? I mean, what how is that an excuse? It's not an excuse. The reality of it is, if you want to change it, you got to do the things necessary to change it. And guess what? Your window, your list of things that we can do to change it is exceedingly short, to the point that there is one thing on that list. And that is, get the people of Texas a vote on Texas independence. And this thing will clean up. It's just the way that it is. And look, this is not some weird Pollyanna nonsense. This is hard numbers. These are the facts. If you want this done, this is what the calendar looks like. This is what the numbers look like for independence referendums. These are your opportunities to get this. And whether you take these opportunities or not is entirely up on you. You get to choose which opportunities you seize on. And the question is, do you want to be here 2 years from now complaining about the Texas legislature and talking about how the federal government has taken another 80% of your freedom, right? Do you want to be here when we've got so overrun that they've practically erased the border between here and Mexico? I mean, is that where you want it 2 years from now, complaining about this same crap, or do you want it to go away? Because I'm telling you, this is how you fix it. Question is, are you going to? I've been working at this since 1996. I want to see it. I want to see it. I don't want to go another 2 years and see the same names over and over again. Well, I sort of toe dipped on it a couple years ago, and man, it just seemed really hard. But I'm back now, man. It's really bad. No, it's been bad. It's been horrible. I mean, they're finding cocaine in the White House. I mean, we're the number one movie in ticket sales this last week is a movie about how ridiculously prevalent child sex trafficking is under the federal system. I mean, holy smoke. When you've got people dying by the dozens at the border and you've got more illegal aliens crossing every single day, then it has at any point. I mean, how bad does it have to get? I mean, are they going to have to put chains on your kids? I mean, what are they doing? What more do they have to do to convince people that it's better to work for it and get it done than it is to complain about it and be in a worse position than we are every day? I mean, I literally was speaking at an event a few weeks ago, and I looked at the federal debt calendar, because remember, I'll be cold and dead in my grave before I refer to it as national debt, because it is not a nation. It is federal debt. And I watched the ticker roll over to the $250,000 mark, right? Every man, woman, and child is on the hook for $250,000 just for existing and just staying as part of that system. I mean, this is the way it's got to be, folks. Right now, I'm probably getting emails, people saying, "Hey, you remember we said we wanted you back on Coffee Talk? Yeah, we didn't mean that. Please go away. You asked for it." Okay. Let me do this. Because I'm sort of running out of time. All right, here's a question. I don't know if you're even looking at this chat. Hey, I'm looking at this chat. But if so, do you know of any other states' independence movements that are actually active? I'm especially interested in Florida. I know there are folks down there that are working on putting something together in Florida. But yeah. I mean, there are definitely active independence movements. There's the Cal Exit folks. You've got the Alaskan Independence Party. You've got New Hampshire, the Foundation for New Hampshire Independence, and New Hampshire Independence PAC that are working together. I mean, I popped in on those guys, their Sunday call this last Sunday, just to do a drive-by and say hello and give them an update and check in and see how they were doing. So yeah, there's independence movements all over the place. And not just here. There are, we've got Alberta, that they've been one of the latest. I mean, they've been going for a long time, but latest to hit the headlines. We've got the Arito America movement, the 9 northern states of Mexico that are wanting their independence. So yeah, I mean, there are definitely others that are active. We need to get together the master list, I guess. But anyway, thank you for your question. All right. You know what? I am not seeing any more petition related questions. So I'm guessing either that I have frightened everyone, probably not, or you know what you need to do, and you're going to go knock it out of the park, and you're going to go absolutely crush it, right? You're going to go, and tomorrow you're going to be on fire. If you're not a certified petition circulator, you're probably going to go sign up online, take the course. You can find the link, just go to the petition page and it's there, right? If you don't remember what that page is, hang on, let me hook you up. Boom, right? You're on fire. You're going to go there. You're going to go to the petition page. If you haven't signed it, you're going to do it. Then you're going to encourage other people to sign it. You're going to share your links all over the place. You're going to sign up to be a CPC. You're going to take the course. You're going to go out with your paper. You're going to hit all the little Amish encampments, get them to sign it. Sir, put down your flip phone, please. Can you sign this petition? Right? I mean, this is what I'm guessing that's what's going to happen, because I know how y'all are. I mean, I know how you are. You want this as badly as I do. I want Texas to be free, self-governing, and independent, and I know you want it too. And you're gonna show the world, because I'm going to tell you what the opposition is saying right now, because I've heard it. I've heard it trickle back. They say you don't have what it takes. They think that you guys are a movement on paper. That's what they've said. That you're a movement on paper. That you are not really that committed. That you just signed up. You're, what I refer to in the book as bumper sticker activism, right? You're knee jerk. You signed up because you were mad about something, but your mad will wear off, and so will your support. And that's what they're counting on. So there's only one way to combat that, and that's to go out there and just prove them wrong and shove this thing so far down their throat that they choke on it. That's how you win. See, for the person who asked if I was going to run for lieutenant governor again, this is why somebody like me probably could never win one of those offices, because I'm just going to tell it like it is. I don't know any other way to say it. I'm not going to sugarcoat things for you guys. I'm going to tell you like it is. And how it is if you want to win, you got to do the things necessary to win. And that's just the bottom line. So let me just remind you, Article 1, Section 2, all political power is inherent in the people, right? And if you don't exercise your power, then what good does it do to have it in the first place? They'll gladly take it from you. So exercise what you got and do it today. All right. Just a couple of things really quickly. Look, if you have not connected up with your local group yet, be sure to head over to tnm.me/local groups. Get that done. Ricky Tick. And of course, the aforementioned volunteer. Look, getting petition signatures is great. It's something we need. But if you're willing to help volunteer in other ways too, we need to hear from you. Head over to tnm.me/volunteer to make that happen. And then, of course, the infamous tnm.me/join. Go from being a supporter to a full-blown member. Go to tnm.me/join. That's tnm.me/join. And again, the link that I mentioned here, head over to taketexasback.com if you are interested in running for office. But if you're already committed to running for office, if you're already got your treasurer appointment done and you're a candidate, head over to that same website, taketexasback.com, sign the Texas First Pledge, because that's what's got to happen, right? All right, my friends. Oh yeah. And I did not even mention, I don't have a slide for it. Head over to the website and click the campaigns link. You will be happy that you did. We got some really cool stuff happening over there. Lots of folks that are stepping up to lead campaigns, and whether you're a veteran, a homeschooler, a techno wizard, somebody that works in the tech industry, whatever it is, go over there today. You will not be disappointed. There are plenty of opportunities for you to get involved in some of those campaigns. And of course, we need your help to do so. So, that being said, my friends, I do believe that it is time for us to wrap this bad boy up. So with that, I want to thank you guys so much for being patient. We haven't done one of these in a while because I have just been on the road. And when I'm on the road, things get backed up. And so I have to deal with those things. And, it's just the way that it is, right? It's the uncertain nature of our schedules. And really and truly, it is, I think, encouraging that I haven't been here enough to do coffee talk because I have been on the road that much, bringing the message of TEXIT to larger and larger crowds to every corner. So that's not a bad thing at all. I think it's a really good thing, but I will say that I do miss this and when we're here together. So in the meantime, right, you may get one of these well, no, you won't, because I'll be on the road next week. So maybe the week after. I think the week after. You'll be getting one of these. And in the meantime, be sure to check out the new Texas News podcast. That one is dropping every single solitary week. It gives me an opportunity, because we're pre-recording, to be able to get that out a little more regularly for you guys. But check it out. You can find news about it on the website. It's called the Texas News Podcast. Head over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Look for Texas News with Daniel Miller. You'll find it. Okay, my friends, that is going to be a wrap for tonight. Thank you all so very much. I want to leave you with the words of Sam Houston. No, I am not rusty. I remember. Sam Houston said that Texas will again lift its head and stand among the nations. I believe that time is now, and the question is, will you stand with her? Good night, everyone.